Actually, that is where I learned how to do hedging, was actually from Nick Sean. This was, early in his career, he did hedging, and I wouldn't say, because I know you said like a martingale type thing, and I guess it sort of could be, but so that's actually where I did really, really well, which is why I use hedging as a risk factor, is because I know I did really, really well with it. The only things that didn't work out is, as you were saying, once you get to the next zone, you open up another position, which would expose you almost exponentially as you continue to go, which, I guess fits the martingale type scenario, but that is something that I learned out well. And when discussing and going back and forth, talking with Nick in regards to this, one of the things that he said was talking about using winning positions to get out of older positions, and that never clicked with me until I found Chad from the Forex hedging. That is what, seeing him work through it and do it, that's what made me go, now I understand. Now, as far as like, he's talking about using, he rags on smart money concepts all the time, but as far as using high risk in regards to his trading style, that really hasn't changed for the most part. I think the only times that actually changed is when he tried to do Forex.com and tried to go with a regulated broker, and that required him to have a whole lot more capital in his account to be able to do what he would normally do in regards to taking the position sizes or adding to stuff and drawdown and things of that nature. And so he ended up having to go, and that's partly, I would go partly the reason why he had such a down yearish thing is because he couldn't trade the way he normally would trade with some of the unregulated brokers. And so, now he's back to that, and it's interesting because if you follow any of the Telegram, you can see an immediate flip from, hey, I've left Forex.com, I've gone back to my, shady regulated brokers, and then like he made like it was like $30,000 a month for that month, and it's out there in Telegram, you can go check it. But he was transparent about all that. But yes, the mindset, and I'm like, I know you're talking about like he's simulating a doubling a small account high risk, and you're talking about that he does it in such a quick way that it looks like you're talking about luck, except it's hard for me to express this to you because you're like, no, I don't believe it. I've doubled accounts. And sure, you can go, okay, well, that's luck. You can't call it profitable until when? That's ultimately the question. When is the like fine line to go, this isn't luck, this is a skill that I've just developed. So with the high risk though, you have to understand that yes, eventually you're going to blow an account. But the idea being, you're going to double enough accounts that blown account isn't going to cripple you. And I was doing well with that, and I did well with that. Once again, psychology is the main part of trading, and that was one thing that I psychologically couldn't wrap my head around, was the losing streak that eventually blew the account. Even though I mathematically had made enough money to cover that blown account, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And so I veered away from that, where I've gone to more the Forex hedging strategy, this Forex hedging risk management style, because it's consistent gains. And although I can get to points where the drawdown's more than I would like, I can take some of the gains that I've already shaved off to the side and bring it back to where I'm okay being, or I can just suck it up and know that eventually I'm going to get some really good trades, I'm going to get some really good squeezings on positions, and it'll all work out in the end. And so as long as I don't go above 50% of the account balance, that seems to be my panic-ish mode, is when I'm at 50% of the account balance, and I'm like, it's antsy to just not do anything, to be so close to I wouldn't say it's not margin call, I'm not going to margin call at that level, but it's, the balance is so high already that I don't feel comfortable placing another trade, even though it might be the one that works out really well to pretty much cover a lot of the drawdown. Don't feel comfortable doing it. And so I found my threshold, and this is where, if people had a working strategy, and this is, if I gave you a working strategy, which I think you said, you're like, oh, I can do all this. I don't think you could. I don't think you can. Because if your psychology isn't in it, it doesn't matter what the strategy is. It doesn't matter if every third win, or no, the long-term effect of it you probably won't make it. And that's where I gotta go with that. So as far as like Nick and this trading here, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. You gotta understand what's at risk and how are you finding ways to mitigate that risk. And one of the ways that he was talking about for the high risk positions trying to double the account is your stop loss is the account. That way you'll be called long before you actually draw on the account itself. And then your profitability outside of, like, you do need an edge, but like your profitability of maintaining profits is once you double an account, you withdraw the money and start over with that lower position account and double it again, and then double it again. And you just constantly draw it out, and you don't leave it in there to be exposed to that time that you're going to be blowing an account.